Coming up on Global Business, Belgium's Prime Minister Alexander De Croo arrives in Beijing for an official visit to China. It marks the first visit to China by a European leader this year. China's Commerce Minister raises concerns with his U.S. counterpart over sanctions against Chinese companies, adding that the two sides should create cooperation opportunities for Chinese and American businesses. And China is forecast to become the world's largest car exporter in 2023, with new energy vehicles a major driving force in auto shipments abroad. And welcome everyone to Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong. Well, Belgium's Prime Minister Alexander De Croo has arrived here in Beijing for an official visit to China. The Chinese Foreign Ministry says the two-day visit comes at the invitation of Premier Li Qiang. This is the first visit to China by a European leader in 2024. Our Yu Yang has more.
Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo is paying an official visit to China on January 11 and 12 at the invitation of China's Premier Li Qiang. This is actually the first visit to China by a European leader in 2024 and also the first high-level engagement between China and Belgium since 2019. One notable thing that starting this January, Belgium assumed the presidency of the Council of the European Union, marking the 13th mandate, and the country will hold the position for a total 6 months until June this year. So many believe the Croo's trip will also focus on the relations between China and the European Union. On the other hand, according to a statement released by the PM's office, the China-Belgium relationship, as well as economic connections between the two sides, will also top the agenda. Belgium's Foreign Minister Aja Lahbib is also in China. She arrived in the city of Shanghai just ahead of the Croo's trip, and the Belgian media says her visit will focus on fostering economic ties. But she will join the Croo in Beijing on Thursday, and the Belgian local media said Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang are expected to meet with them. The year 2024 marks the 53rd anniversary since China and Belgium established diplomatic ties. As one of the earliest Western countries to cooperate with China, Belgium is currently the 7th largest trading partner with China within the European market. An article by China's ambassador to Belgium, Cao Zhongming, was published in the EU Reporter this week, in which it said that China and Belgium are all-round friendly and cooperative partners, adding that both countries firmly support multilateralism and an open world economy. In terms of China-EU relations, many analysts say the European Union is facing a rather complex situation at the start of this year, after European Council President Charles Michel announced that he will step down early, and this setting off a race against time for EU leaders to find a successor for the key position. Meanwhile, France is reshuffling its own cabinet and welcoming a new prime minister. Thus, experts say all this makes for more uncertainties at the European Council summit to be held this March. And a stable China-EU relationship will help to cope with major issues and the challenges facing the international community. Yu Yang, CGTN, Beijing.
And Belgium launched its new embassy here in Beijing on Thursday. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi attended the event, hailing a new chapter in ties between the two countries. Wang said China and Belgium are two economies that continue to open up while strengthening cooperation that serves the interests of both peoples. He said post-pandemic exchanges and cooperation would only expand with Prime Minister Alexander De Croo's visit. The Chinese Foreign Minister said China-EU relations are also improving. In the face of a complex international environment, he said both sides have agreed to strengthen communication to bring greater stability to the current geopolitical landscape while providing more certainty to the global economic recovery. Now, as the rotating presidency country for the EU, Wang added that Beijing would work with Belgium to promote stable, sustainable, and healthy China-EU relations. And China's Commerce Minister has expressed concerns over recent U.S. sanctions against Chinese companies. During a phone call with U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, Wang Wentao said the meeting between the two heads of state last November set an important tune for bilateral trade. He added that the two sides should play a positive role in creating cooperation opportunities for their respective enterprises. Wang also conveyed concerns about curbs in exports of lithography machines to China in chip supply chain investigations. They also exchanged views on national security issues in bilateral trade. And chip maker NVIDIA is reportedly set to start production on a new artificial intelligence chip geared specifically to the China market. This comes in the wake of those latest round of U.S.-imposed export controls of semiconductor chips to some countries, including China, Russia, and Iran. Our Karina Mitchell has more in New York.
Yeah, NVIDIA is trying hard to stay ahead of the game when it comes to chip exports to China, which is a huge market for the company. According to Reuters, it plans to begin large-scale production of an artificial intelligence chip that complies with regulations set forth by the U.S. government on the type of chips American semiconductor manufacturers can sell to China and other countries. Now, this new chip, the H20, is set to go into production in the second quarter of this year. It was initially reported to debut in November of last year, but faced integration challenges. According to reports, NVIDIA is also planning two other chips, the L20 and L2, that meet with American export rules. The chip maker has not yet announced the sale of any of the three types of chips. Now, these new chips are an answer to renewed restrictions placed on U.S. semiconductor exports to China in October of 2023. America first imposed sweeping restrictions on the export of advanced microchips to China in 2022. To comply, NVIDIA created the A800 and H800 chips with lower capabilities. These chips were being used by Chinese tech firms, including Alibaba, Baidu, and Tencent. But with the new export rules, those chips are no longer viable for export, and NVIDIA had to come up with a new alternative. U.S. Secretary of State Gina Raimondo has said the new controls seek to close loopholes and prevent the chips to advance China's military capabilities and come as a way to preserve U.S. national security. The new restrictions also prevent Iran and Russia from receiving the highest capability U.S. chips. Raimondo has stressed the upgraded restrictions are not meant to thwart chip sales to China or hurt Beijing economically. However, China's foreign ministry has issued a firm rebuke of the latest curbs, saying they, quote, violate the principles of the market economy and fair competition. The Wall Street Journal reported that Chinese companies were reluctant to buy the downgraded H20 and are testing domestic alternatives because there's less of a difference between them now, frankly. And Reuters also reporting that last year Baidu ordered chips from Huawei in order to shift away from NVIDIA. The fear is there may potentially be new or more curbs introduced by the U.S. Important to also note most chips for laptops, cell phones, and gaming are excluded from the newest restrictions. Karina Mitchell, CGTN, New York.
Now, as the world's largest chip market, China used to account for about 20% of NVIDIA's annual revenue. Now, this might soon change as U.S. export controls will see China rely more and more on domestic innovation. Chinese tech giant Baidu purchased the 910B Ascend AI chip from Huawei after launching its chatbot, Wenshin Yiyan. And previously, Baidu and other Chinese tech companies were longtime NVIDIA customers. Other Chinese chip companies like SMIC started constructing chip fabrication plants in various locations, such as in Tianjin, Shanghai, and Shenzhen since 2021. According to the Semiconductor Equipment and Materials International, by 2026, China will have a total of 26 fabrication plants that produce 8 to 12-inch semiconductor wafers, and its production capacity will exceed South Korea, currently ranked first in the world. China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology has issued plans to introduce national standards for automotive chips. China looks to introduce more than 30 key standards for automotive chips by the year 2025. And up next here on Global Business. In what the markets call a landmark move, the U.S. securities regulator gives the go-ahead for spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, making it easier for investors to gain exposure to the world's most popular cryptocurrency.
Every January, global leaders from the realms of policy, business, and civil society gather in the Swiss ski town of Davos to discuss the state of the world. The World Economic Forum 2024 is placing its focus on rebuilding trust, CGTN will be on the ground in Davos, reporting the latest insights and perspectives, and ensuring that China's voice is also heard. Stay tuned for this exclusive coverage, the World Economic Forum 2024, only on CGTN.
Well, the U.S. securities regulator has granted approval for the first time to spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, announced on Wednesday that it has approved 11 of such ETFs, which are set to be floated by firms such as BlackRock, Fidelity, Invesco, and VanEck, among others. Trading for most of these ETFs is expected to begin today. The approval is seen as a significant milestone for the cryptocurrency industry, as it makes it easier for retail and institutional investors to gain exposure to the world's most popular and liquid cryptocurrency, whom otherwise would need to pay significant fees on unregulated cryptocurrency exchanges. The U.S. securities authorities stood against spot Bitcoin ETFs for more than a decade on concerns of market disruptions and fraud. The SEC reversed its decision following crypto asset manager Grayscale's successful court challenge last year. Bitcoin ETF futures were already approved by the SEC back in 2021. So for more on digital currencies, I'm going to bring in Chen Jiahe, Chief Investment Officer at Novum RK Technologies. Jiahe, thank you for joining us. So crypto enthusiasts, right, they believe this move by the U.S. SEC to allow spot Bitcoin ETFs, it broadens investor access to digital currencies like Bitcoin, whereas skeptics, they feel that even though ETFs are more regulated, investor protection can still be jeopardized as the ETFs invest in an asset class that is quite risky. Case in point, Jiahe, we remember the wild price swings of Bitcoin from a peak of $69,000 to a trough of $16,000 in a span of just a year following the collapse of crypto exchange FTX. Where do you stand on this spot Bitcoin ETF debate?
Hi, Michael. Well, the SEC has been struggling for around a decade regarding the Bitcoin ETF and finally made the decision to allow the Bitcoin ETF to get listed, which will make the Bitcoin a leading type of virtual currency available to much more buyers, including the retail buyers. Personally, I don't think this will be a good thing for the investors. The virtual currency itself is actually a kind of typical financial bubble. It has got no real value, but only trading value, which means unlike stocks or real estate or bonds, its price can go anywhere. Where we have actually seen that many virtual currencies have gone to zero. Look at the view of many value investors in the US, like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. They have also expressed their worrying towards the trading of these currencies. And historically speaking, they have been right about many things. So to be frank, I'm not a supporter of this new ETF.
Yeah. Well, let's do some compare and contrasting, Jiahe, because China has made decentralized cryptocurrency transactions illegal. As regulators here are concerned about the market risks for cryptocurrencies and financial stability implications in terms of cryptocurrencies. However, China, of course, is also a world-leading pioneer when it comes to developing a central bank digital currency. So what's your take on China's approach to cryptocurrencies and investor protection?
Well, the central bank digital currency is something looks like the virtual currency, but in fact, these two things are completely different. The central bank digital currency is still a legal currency. Its value is backed by the country. But a virtual currency is backed by no one, but the trading of itself only. So look at the financial history. Anything that does not have a real value but is traded at a good price is always a financial bubble. And for China's regulators, I believe they have done a wonderful job with banning the virtual currency. They have protected the local investors with a very long-term view and also took a large amount of pressure. And this is a very accurate thing that the financial regulators should do.
All right, Jiahe, many thanks for your thoughts on that. Stay with us. We're going to come back to you in just a moment. Meanwhile, over 1,100 Chinese companies registered for the Consumer Electronics Show, or CES 2024, which is now underway in the U.S. city of Las Vegas. That's twice the number of last year. Chinese tech firms are looking to make a push into the U.S. and global markets. Our Mark New reports from the event.
As CES kicks into gear, a special event takes center stage, the 2024 China Night in Forum on Consumer Electronics Developments.
We are happy to see Chinese and U.S. companies strengthen interaction and cooperation through platforms such as China Night. We encourage Chinese and companies to go abroad and to go global, and welcome U.S. companies to actively explore the Chinese market.
Executives, venture capitalists, and U.S. state trade representatives also discuss one of the hottest trends, cutting-edge tech in mobility and transportation.
We're looking about how we take all of these new types of electronics and software and AI, et cetera, and how do we make advanced air mobility.
In a true sign of a global tech marketplace, an American executive of TV maker Hisense talks about his Chinese company's commitment to operating out of the U.S.
We are going to take and head up all of the America's business out of the United States. So a lot of the actions that we have done in the past in China, we're bringing that capabilities to the United States.
This China Night Forum, which is bringing together business and tech representatives from across the U.S. and China, is just one more sign that China's presence at CES is back.
We are expecting a fantastic show this year. I am so happy and so thrilled to see that China is back at CES in a big way.
At least 1,100 Chinese companies are registered to attend CES, which is more than double last year. Lotus Robotics is from Hangzhou, China.
This is our first time to show at CES. We are really excited to present our product here to the audience from all over the world. It's the biggest show and there are lots of people. We are very happy about that.
Their product, RoboCube, can autonomously clean streets and even dump out the trash. But there's more to this self-driving business model.
It's right behind you. Tell me about interesting things about it.
This is a chassis, and it's a platform, or in automotive industry we call it architecture. And the size of architecture can be changed to a small one or a big one. When it's big enough, you can even to do this as a shuttle bus.
And right next to Lotus's demonstration, you'll find another Chinese company also going to great depths to show their technology is ready to emerge on the global stage. Mark New, CGTN, Las Vegas.
Lenovo is one of the Chinese tech companies at the ongoing CES in Las Vegas. As a longtime personal computer brand and also a chip developer, Lenovo has furthered its vision for the AI PC market with 40 new devices and solutions powered by artificial intelligence. Now, the concept of AI PC is to equip computers with chips that have what's called neural processing units, or NPUs. Now, those NPUs are designed to run AI applications faster on local devices instead of in the cloud. In a report released last month, Lenovo referred to AI PC as a necessary personal assistant in the future and expected 70% of devices in the Chinese market to have AI-powered features this year. Some multinationals have also unveiled plans for AI PC. Earlier this week, NVIDIA announced a new series of its RTX graphics cards, which are used to generate AI video and images faster on computers. And Intel launched its AI PC acceleration program in October, aiming to embed AI functions in over 100 million PCs by 2025. For more on CES 2024 and AI PCs, I want to bring back Chen Jiahe, CIO at Novum RK Technologies. So, Jiahe, I want to start with the Consumer Electronics Show first. There are, of course, we know tech tensions between China and the U.S., but out of those 4,000 plus exhibitors at this year's CES, over 1,100 are Chinese companies, so well over a quarter. Do you see areas for stronger cooperation than what may be believed between Chinese and American tech businesses when it comes to consumer electronics?
Yeah, of course. The CES is one of the world's most important consumption technology show in the world, and this year it has got much more Chinese companies to join. Well, that's over 1,000 of them. Remember, last year only less than 500 Chinese companies joined this show, so we can see that the number has increased dramatically this year. This stronger cooperation between tech companies in China and the US comes from multiple reasons. The passing away of COVID is clearly one reason, and the easing of tension between the two countries has also stimulated more Chinese companies to join the CES. Furthermore, as China and the US can benefit each other with cooperation in many fields such as technology, manufacturing, sharing of domestic market, etc., businesses do realize the profit that we can make from this cooperation. So it is a pretty good thing to join the CES to seek for potential opportunities.
And Jiahe, we were just reporting on what will now be a new era of AI-powered personal computers, and an industry white paper released by Lenovo and market research firm IDC forecasting that nearly 85% of new PCs in China will be AI PCs by the year 2027. That is quite a surge compared to just 8% seen in 2023. How competitive do you think will Chinese AI PC makers be on the global stage?
Well, the AI PC will be the next stage where the PC producers are seeking, and China is clearly a large market that no one can miss. In the year that just passed, it is estimated that China has consumed around 15 million personal computers, around 20% of the world. Currently, if you look at the personal computer production chain, you can see a good example of cooperation between China and global companies coming from countries such as the US, South Korea, etc. China imports things like computer systems, CPU from the US, and we make some well-known brands here like Lenovo, Huawei, and Xiaomi. But Chinese market also buys some global brands as well, like Dell and HP. Meanwhile, local Chinese companies are also investing money into the producing of computer system, CPU, and chips. So this is really a competitive market here. The local businesses are accumulating their abilities to compete, but the global brands are also having a really large market share.
All right, Jiahe, of course, always a pleasure chatting with you. Many thanks for your insights. As always, Chen Jiahe, CIO at Novum RK Technologies. Thanks, Jiahe. And still to come here on Global Business. China is forecast to become the world's largest car exporter in 2023, with new energy vehicles a major driving force in auto shipments abroad.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global Business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
Well, China is set to take the crown as the world's largest car exporter in 2023. The China Association of Automobile Manufacturers said on Thursday that production and sales had exceeded 30 million units for the first time, hitting a record high. Now, China exported nearly 5 million vehicles to over 200 countries and regions last year, marking an increase of 58% from 2022. The organization said the new energy vehicle industry has been a major force in China's auto market. Last year, domestic sales of NEVs increased by 33.5% to over 8 million units. China exported 1.2 million units, marking an increase of nearly 78%. In the meantime, China's BYD ousted Tesla as the world's top seller of new energy cars in the last quarter of 2023. And 2023 marked the 70th anniversary of China's automotive industry. Now, after starting from scratch, it has now become a key part of the global car industry. Take a look.
In 1956, the first domestic Jiefeng truck rolled off the company's assembly line after 3 years of preparation and trial production. The move marked the end of the idea that China could not produce vehicles. In 1992, the number of cars produced in China exceeded 1 million for the first time. It reached 10 million in 2009, surpassing the U.S. to become the world's largest automobile producer, a title it has held for 15 years. As China continues to develop its auto sector, it started to create demand for other countries to purchase made-in-China vehicles.
It took China 55 years to increase the number of Chinese automobile exports from 1 to 1 million, and in 2023, it reached 4.91 million.
In reaching this milestone, the rise of China's new energy vehicle industry played a decisive role. The proportion of NEVs in China's entire auto export increased from 7% in 2020 to 24.5% in 2023. Where Chinese NEV makers have managed to win the hearts and minds of Europeans, as many of them are trying to expand showrooms across Europe to keep expanding markets.
近年来呢，众多的中国国内新
The Norwegian automotive market is a mature electric vehicle market. In 2021 alone, the proportion of new car sales of electric vehicles in Norway reached 64%, which is much higher than other European markets.
Experts say that China's new energy vehicle technology and product have become an important force supporting the global automotive transformation. The establishment of China's NEV ecosystem will play a greater role in the future. Yu Bokun, CGTN.
And Hungary is getting ready to make its mark on the global auto industry as it welcomes China's leading EV manufacturer, BYD. And BYD is building its first European production facility for electric cars there. Our correspondent Pablo Gutierrez has more.
The new factory from the world's largest electric automaker is poised to give a significant boost to the local Hungarian economy.
Just because of this project, this area will have the certain place on the map.
Antal Joseph Metzaros is the CEO of one of the companies involved in building the roads near BYD's upcoming manufacturing plant. He anticipates an increased demand for even more infrastructure projects once the factory's construction starts.
By last year, we employed 123 people.
Yeah. Would you be hiring more if you get the contract to do more?
We will.
Yeah?
We will hire and we can hire.
BYD's manufacturing plant will cover approximately 3 square kilometers and is expected to create approximately 3,000 jobs in Szeged and the surrounding area. According to Hungary's government, this initiative is one of the most substantial investments in the country's recent history.
The presence of a multinational company is significant because it sets in motion a multiplying effect in our city.
Dr. Attila Kukuti is the president of Szeged's Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He says BYD's investment will significantly enhance the local economy. Szeged's primary industries are food processing and agriculture, but the local Chamber of Commerce says that the establishment of BYD's manufacturing plant here will have a ripple effect on other segments of the economy, such as tourism, retail, and services, making it more attractive to visitors and boosting the city's economy. Last year, BYD sold 1.8 million battery-powered vehicles worldwide, including plug-in hybrids, outpacing Tesla, which sold 1.3 million electric cars.
In the long term is that this positions Hungary really at the heart of this green transition to electric vehicles.
BYD's plant factory will be close to the Belgrade-Budapest railway line, currently under construction.
And for this factory to be there on that rail line right beside the Serbian border means that it's an important plus for Hungary. It shows that this new railway that's being developed will stimulate new industry.
BYD's plant will be constructed in multiple phases over the course of 3 years. Hungary is accelerating infrastructure projects with the aim they will solidify the country's status as a key European hub for battery and electric vehicle manufacturers. Pablo Gutierrez, CGTN, Szeged, Hungary.
And that's going to do it for this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong here in Beijing. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.